Ladies and gentlemen, before we get this episode underway, I would like to say a big thank you on behalf of myself and Guy Montgomery. It's Tim Batt speaking here from the worst idea of all time. I would like to say thank you to Karma Cola. Just the best company. Just the best company. They make cola, but they do it the right way, folks. They go into Sierra Leone. They make fair trade agreements with the cola farmers, right? These are the folks out in the coalface. They are corralling the cola nuts. Cola nuts, notoriously aggressive. They've got cola dogs on them, corralling them together, and then they've got to milk the cola. They do it very tastefully, very ethically, very gently for the cola, so the cola's not upset. They're treating everyone with the greatest of respect. Not only that, but after having all the fair trade agreements, they've got this foundation which has raised over 50 grand so far, which goes to support 8 villages in Sierra Leone. They build bridges. They've put up a rice processing plant. They've sent 50 girls to school, which is a fucking big deal in West Africa, folks. Get them behind Karma Cola. It's a delicious drink. It uses real sugar. There's no artificial bullshit in it. It's just good stuff. And if you're in the States, you can't buy it there yet. So find a way to import it, smuggle it in, or lobby them online. They're on Twitter, they're on Facebook. Go, thank them for their service to the world community. Tell them your old mates Timbo and Guy sent you. And without further ado, here's the bloody episode. Thanks to Karma.
It's the worst idea of all time. It's the worst idea of all time. It's the worst idea of all time.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the worst idea of all time, episode number 40. We like to do something special on episode 40, apparently, because last time that's when we did the director's commentary for Grown Ups 2.
That's right, and don't get too excited because, for God's sake, we're not about to do a director's commentary right now. Instead, we've shipped in a friend all the way from America.
I really don't like you're introducing our guest with "don't get too excited."
Hey,
It doesn't sound
no,
right.
no, that's how you do it. You got to you got to temper the expectations, and then suddenly, for blammy, you got a special guest coming through the door.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome a special guest to the worst idea of all time family. Probably the reason why you know that we exist at all. It all comes back to this
Patient X, he's been described as before.
the guy who started it all. It's Paul Scheer.
We'll clap. We're clapping on our end. Are you getting those claps, Paul?
Thank you. I heard the claps, and I appreciate a low pressure intro. So I feel like setting the expectations low is good for me.
Excellent.
And man, oh man, 40 weeks of this fucking movie.
You better believe it, Paul.
I saw it twice in the theater.
What?
Yes.
I did not know
Now,
that.
I need to unpack this in a couple different ways. So my wife is, who's on the podcast, How Did This Get Made? She is a huge Sex and the City fan, and I don't know is Sex and the City as big there as it is here? I mean, here it's huge.
Well, it's all dead now, right? Like, it's still dead in
Yeah.
America now. It
It's
was
still
big here.
Yeah, nothing in New Zealand is big in the same way something's big in America, but it was pretty, unanimously popular.
Okay, so here I was in New York when Sex and the City was going on. I think my wife believes she is, I am one of these people. I think especially when you lived in New York at the time of the show, it was like, I am them, they are me. And so after many years of me taking my wife to, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, whatever, she's like, now you're gonna come with me to my jam. You're gonna see my movie. And I took that and I was like, fine, I'll go see it. So I saw the first movie, and I'm gonna say right off the bat, I like the first movie. I'm not. Look, for what this is. And I'm not going to be above it. I watched the first movie, I believe, also twice in the theater.
That's fun.
And it was kind of, yeah. And I could see my wife enjoying it. It was really fun. It was like I don't know. It was like, I guess, the same feeling that you would get if you brought a child to see Star Wars.
Yeah,
for the first time.
is June does she have the box sets? Like, is she a real diehard Sex and the City person? Or was
I've
back in the
seen
day?
her binge. She doesn't have the DVDs, but I've seen her binge. June doesn't have many possessions. She doesn't like to collect things.
She's a transient, all right?
Yeah,
She likes to say lightly footed.
She has a wooden she has a bindle and a stick.
Yeah.
And whatever she can't keep in there gets thrown away. She's always cooking beans on trains.
We've heard this about Jane.
So, it was, but I've watched her binge it. I've watched her like sit in front of the TV and watch episode after episode. It was in our house enough that I know, and she's a fan. She's a big fan, and her excitement for the premiere was pretty amazing, the first one, and we're gonna get to the second piece of crap, but the first one, but it was so fun because she was like getting large groups of people together, and in the States, when it came out, it was on par with, like, I believe it came out roughly around the time of Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, the first one, or something like, so it had that same energy, but it was all these like women and going to the movies, and it was just fun, and June said to me after she saw the first movie, she was like, I get it now. I get what you go through when you see your movies. I get it, and I love it.
That's so nice that you guys finally had a point of understanding. Because Paul F. Tompkins said the same thing, that his wife was like kind of a lifelong fan of the series and really nerded out about when the movies came out.
Well, and that was it. And so it was like, it was really fun, and I felt like not proud or excited, but it was like, oh, this is kind of a cool thing, because I feel like, that fanaticism to go see some sort of like, whether it's Lord of the Rings or The Matrix or whatever, it seems oftentimes more geared to the males, like, and so it was really fun to see her really get involved. And then all that set up to say, to watch her experience this was amazing, because she went through the same thing that I went through when I saw Phantom Menace, which was it's good. I think it's good. And it takes you a while before you could admit that it's total and complete garbage. It's a garbage movie.
Never heard it compared to Phantom Menace before, but that seems like the perfect analogy for this film.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Paul, while this is all well and good, it doesn't really speak to why you would then, after sitting through this experience with the lovely June and her bindle, insist upon revisiting the movie in the majesty of the cinema.
Yeah,
well, because of the same idea of the Phantom Menace, you can't. Well, at least my interaction with the Phantom Menace was when I saw it, and I didn't know it was bad. I was too psyched, and I was like, I need to see it again, because I almost felt like I was too excited to enjoy it. Little did I know I couldn't enjoy it because it wasn't a good film. And I felt the same way with Crystal Skull too, but I just, like it should be good, right? And so I think I went back again with June as she's like, it is good. It's really interesting. And so I went and saw it with her, and then I went to see it again with Casey, her writing partner, who's from Happy Endings and stuff like that, and her husband. And so we went as like a double date. It was the second one that we saw. And I think midway into the second viewing of it, she quickly was able to be like, oh, it is bad. I wasn't wrong. Because I was very harsh on it. She was confused by it the first time. The second time, we both left on the same page.
One of my favorite things about How Did This Get Made, your podcast, Paul, is June's insights, because she's wired differently from the rest of us. And she just comes in there with a very different perspective. So after the second viewing, was she even she was convinced that it was not a great film?
Yeah, and now I'm giving you my impression of her. I'm sure if you had her on this podcast, she would have a lot of saving graces. But in previous years, or as the years have gone by, we have talked about this on this, briefly, and I've seen her admit that this is not a good movie, and being disappointed by it. Like watching her get disappointed by her friends, I was like, now you know how I felt when I saw Crystal Skull. Like they betrayed me. Everyone that I loved betrayed me here, and I think that was an interesting thing. I mean, and knowing that I had to watch this movie with you guys, I will first say I kept on putting it off, and then I said, well, I'm going to create a viewing plan which will allow me to watch 10 minutes of it a day for like 10 days. And I was like, that will create something in me where it's like, it's not insurmountable. And long story short, I didn't do the 10 minutes. And this morning, I woke up early, I came into work, and I put it on, and I've been furious. I've been furious ever since it started. I just finished it, and I'm angry. This movie made me from minute one. It makes me angry.
But you
the title sequence
should be
over.
pretty attuned to this sensation as well, because you watch rubbish movies constantly.
And you've already seen this one twice.
I know, but there's something about this that is, and I wanted to, and this is what I really want to talk to you guys about, because after 40 times of watching it, you must know, there's something different about the makeup of this movie it's infuriating. It makes me, I don't know why it makes me angry. I don't know if it's maybe it's, I don't like the comedy. I don't like what they're doing. I think what they do a majority of the time is offensive. And that's something that I'm never offended by. I'm I think this is, your point of view is just being offensive to this. It's so, look, you can only, a movie that essentially has a Marx Brothers-esque peek out in burqas.
Yeah.
That is not
I think it's
played for, Go ahead, yeah.
No, sorry, you're saying that it's not played for...
It's not played for the right laugh. It's no, they're actually just doing it. I don't think they're commenting on it. That whole final chase sequence or whatever that is. What the fuck am I watching?
What makes it so aggravating is it's sort of the juxtaposition between such a garish, high-end style, everything within the world of the film is so glamorous, and then how little attention or care has been put into the actual content of the film. It slaps you on the face over and over. It's by all accounts, it should be a functioning movie, but it's not. It's not even close.
And that's and you know what it is? I find a real joy in, I call them a 4-quadrant movie. It's not my term, but the idea that it's a movie that can appeal to your grandparents, your parents, your kids, the boys, the girls. It just kind of it fills all the quotas, all ages, all sexes. And that's Green Lantern is a perfect example of a 4-quadrant. We're gonna make a movie with Ryan Reynolds. It's gonna appeal to everybody. And when they try to appeal to everybody, they alienate. It becomes a whole mishmash.
Right.
This is not trying to appeal to everybody at all, and that's what makes it even worse, because it's they had carte blanche. They could do whatever they wanted to do, and they have done it successfully for years on a TV show. They made the first movie, and then this one, it's almost like you had too much sugar or something. It's they all got hit in the head with hammers. I don't know. It's there's the shell of the movie is there, but the inside is empty. A hollow chocolate bunny or something.
There's nothing on the inside. It keeps coming back to this thing, and that's what makes the length of this film, which I think I may have mentioned every episode of our podcast. It's too long. But that's what makes it
2 hours and 26 minutes, right?
Of hollowness. There's nothing to kind of latch on into in that.
And that's what I think makes me angry about it. I don't mind a bad movie. I don't mind a movie that's trying. Even on our podcast, very rarely do we have a movie that elicits a genuine anger in me. The only other movie that elicited that kind of anger was Last Airbender. Because it was another movie that should have been good based on cool source material that was just what? It's nothing. It's hollow. It's empty. It's soulless. And I think that's the other thing. It's I don't think that these people like their characters. I think that these characters they hate them.
Yeah.
They hate them.
Well,
it's like watching a hate fuck.
Yeah, and this iteration of the characters, I'm not super familiar with the show, but there is nothing redeeming in any of them. They are all just baddies.
No. And they're so superficial. It's it's terrible.
We're really coming in heavy on the hate parade early, and that's fair. I mean, we've seen it 40 times. You've seen it 3. Between us, we've probably cumulatively seen it 43 times more than necessary.
Let's to cap off the first quarter hour. Let's try and shine a little sun ray into this dark, stormy cloud.
A shining light. You can lead, Tim.
What we like to do, Paul, is just pick a part of the film that we actually genuinely enjoyed this week. Because otherwise it's
Okay.
just us shitting on a movie 52 times, right? And no one wants
Yes.
that. It's pointless.
No, I have a moment. I want to hear your guys' moments as well.
Okay, mine briefly is I can't even. I've written it down as a note. I can't even remember it. What bit is that?
Smash right. May or may
Oh,
not.
that's right. It's when they're in the karaoke scene. We've really had to dig into the minutiae of the film now, Paul, to elicit these after week 40. They're in the karaoke scene. They're about to do the big number. Miranda is learning from one of the waiters how to order a drink. And
Right.
he says something akin to smash right, which I can only imagine I'm mispronouncing an Arabic way of saying listen to what I'm saying.
Right.
Because he keeps repeating how to say this
And
is
eventually
please.
Miranda, who's been playing the role of enthusiastic learner the whole trip, just is like, I don't give a fuck how you say it, just bring me the goddamn drinks.
Well, she doesn't. She says, yeah, that's fine.
Right.
She dismisses him.
No, but you can see in her mind there's that switch that's flicked, which is like, just look.
It's the same bit as when Big's trying to nail Penelope Cruz's name, and then just everyone gives up real quick.
Carry
and
on,
who
carry on,
cares?
very
Yeah.
well.
Well, it's also the point of this movie, and I'm gonna get to the thing that I like, but I also want to talk about a theory that I have too. This movie was like, oh, let's get all these cameos in here because they want to be in the movie, and they just kind of shoehorn them in without not even trying. And I was gonna bring up maybe I'll hold this thought and we'll finish this section. And I'll bring my thought to you.
No, it's free form, man.
just-
It's jazz, baby.
Come on, baby, we're
All right,
riffing
well,
over
here's
here.
my thought. Do you think that by being on this set and interacting with this director and this writer and these actresses, that this was the beginning of the end for Miley Cyrus? Do you think that this was the beginning of eroding her nice image and then started putting her on a downfall of being this insane, aggressive performer?
Wow. Well, let me sidestep your question for just a moment while I try and track it in my mind. Because, as you know, Paul, we watched Grown Ups 2 for 52 weeks initially.
Yes, I do.
Really,
Yes, I listened to many of them.
really gravitated towards Patrick Schwarzenegger's character. He was kind of
Yes.
like an extra that had one or two grunts as scripted lines in the film. And,
Yes.
of course, he was romantically entangled with Miley for a bit in the early days.
Yes.
I think just before she sort of had a public fall from grace, some would say, evolution. And boy, were we delighted, shocked, and amazed to see Miley just appear on the screen in front of us.
Actually, probably
Yeah.
chart Miley and Patrick's relationship in accordance with the start of this podcast. Because I know when we started, they were together, and then the breakup happened while we had to look at Miley Cyrus on a weekly basis. I think, it is kind of, you could look at it as like a stepping stone or a landmark moment at which the turning of the screw started to occur. But to accredit it all to Sex and the City 2, I mean, I feel like these are
Nope, fuck you, guy.
billionaire
I'm
teen
with-
celebrities.
I'm
There's
Team
always going to
Paul.
be a turning point.
I'm Team Paul. This is Metric Pikel King's fault. Mattress Pikel King.
Yes. Well, because here's my theory, guys. Sex and the City 2 was released in 2010. The sticking out the tongue is kind of the beginning of the end for Miley Cyrus. 3 years later, like, she met these girls. She started to see how the other side lives. She gets a little bit out of her country, kind of roots.
Yeah.
She's still Miley here. She's not the one that's smoking weed all the time. She saw the other side. She essentially got brought to her own Abu Dhabi by being on this set. Her eyes were open to something that she did not know before. And I think it was slow. And then 3 years later, she has, like chrysalis or something, she has turned into a butterfly that smokes weed.
It's so meta.
She
I
wakes
love
up in cold sweats remembering her experience on set.
it. So, Paul, take us back to your shining light. What was your actual enjoyable bit of the film?
I'm going to say, and you probably have already talked about this, but my shining light was the, I'm forgetting her name right now, but the Liza Minnelli the Single Ladies Dance.
That was I believe, my first ever shining light. I'll tell you what, Paul, if you stick around week after week, you will learn to resent every goddamn part of that performance.
Well, hey, I wanted to ask you a question about this as well. Do you believe... Okay, because when they first show her coming on stage to officiate the wedding, she's hobbling as if she can't even move, and then she's doing a pretty intense dance. Was there facial replacement in that scene?
It's entirely possible. We had a New Zealand film critic on one week, and he said there's a lot of CGI nonsense going on with their faces, digital facelifts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why wouldn't that extend to recreating Liza Minnelli's face on top of a stunt double?
Yeah,
Because-
you can almost explain it away by saying, Liza's hamming up that hobbled Borkin for effect.
She's making
okay.
a similar decision to Gene Wilder in
Yeah.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory to shock everyone.
Ooh,
I'm a big
I like that.
I'm a big
I like
fan of defending sort of I like to imagine that things like this are chosen performances by the character. So Liza knowingly came in hobbling. It's not that she's actually old and hobbled. It's that
Right.
she wanted her character of herself, Liza Minnelli, to sort of portray this so that when she does eventually perform the single ladies dance, that pullback and reveal is greater.
Wow. Okay, so that's interesting. I mean, that's giving a lot more thought than I feel like this movie has had. But if that's the case, I would think that it would be more like Willy Wonka, where you see the hobble and then you break into the dance. Because
Yeah.
it's so separate, I feel like I don't know. I don't.
Well, no, I mean, so
She is puffing by the
Yeah.
end, like she is positively on her last legs.
Liza's old.
Oh, yeah.
Liza's old school is the thing. Liza, she came up in that same school with Gene, so they've got similar acting techniques. Michael Patrick King, who wrote and directed the whole thing, it'd be fair to say he chopped it all up. There's probably that transition scene somewhere on the cutting room floor of Liza doing that roly-poly into single ladies.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, as you say, if you don't see it, how do you know? So I think, your suspicion's accurate. But if you stick around for 39 more weeks, Paul, you'll probably get to the bottom of it, much like we have. But yeah,
Oh my
I
God.
loved that dance, and I think it is it's designed to be watched once because it is spectacular. It grabs you by the short and curlies.
Yes.
And
It's fun. It's playful. It's like, hey, now we're going to do a big number in the film. It's like, oh, cool. What a cool way to sort of inject
Yeah.
some energy right at the start of the film.
But then, as you,
And
the
it's
pace-
also coming on the heels. I would say it's coming on the heels of arguably really upsetting sequence, which was like that gay wedding was upsetting to me because I do feel like was it. I don't know what. Again, that's like one of those things where I'm like, is this offensive to gay? Like, it's almost like,
definitely.
yeah, right. It has to be.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And there's a lot of kind of red flags. I think the main one is just the sheer amount of times they have to point out how liberal they are as a film by explicitly mentioning the gay wedding, just over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you keep trying to justify why you're not racist, you're definitely a racist person. It's the same kind of mentality.
Well, it's almost like I guess it's even if you go like, well, we're gay, so we can say all this stuff about gay people, but it's like, yeah, but now I'm feeling uncomfortable, and it's like, yeah, it just there's something about it, just something about it.
No, and
it's
we talked about this recently as well when they try and within the realm of the film explain it away when they're like, shouldn't we be a little? They say at the wedding, shouldn't we be a little more PC? And then Anthony rolls in and says, "Can you believe this place? It looks like the Snow Queen exploded." And then all of the characters, as if that's their hall pass for being vaguely homophobic, is like, "Well, how's that for PC?" And it's like, fine. It's a really inoffensive, innocuous comment, but what you were saying...
Snow Queen's not here. She's not being offended by that. She's not a real sector of
But
the community we have to worry about that's been trampled on and her rights have been disregarded for centuries. She's fine. She's not real.
They're covering their tracks, but absolutely fudging it. They're covering their tracks in fudge, Paul. It's...
it is that I think that was the first moment of genuine anger that elicited that wedding, and also the fact that, by the way, this movie, and we haven't talked. I mean, you guys have talked about it at length, I know, but it's an hour before I feel like the movie even gets started.
You're
you guys feel
completely
like that?
right. It's an hour before they get on the plane. Only just, but it's like an hour and 1 minute is when they're on the plane.
We were, or I was specifically yelling at Carrie to get in the car and get to the goddamn airport yesterday at every turn possible because
You got mad.
they could not dilly-dally more. It is an outrage.
It's like, and it's like, it's all these like beauty shots, all these like I mean, they take you. I don't know. Everything is like
You sound like us, like
Really
a
worked up for.
grizzled veteran.
because it's like they're like, who is it? Like, you know who I feel bad for? The editor. The editor had to be in there,
He
and
quit.
they're like, and you know that they were like, can we just cut down the apartment? Like, okay, yes, she opens the closet, great, but like, then we got to show her other apartment. Like, and then let's go see the hotel in Abu Dhabi. Oh,
And
God.
that's just the macro stuff. If you get down to the micro, the example I've used before is like when she's pouring the whiskey for Big, you have to see every step of the process because they've got no faith in the viewer's ability to connect the dots between her walking over to the decanter and just coming back with whiskey. Like, you see her walking over to it, touching the bottle, opening the top of it, pouring it into a glass, walking back over, giving it to him.
It's like we are essentially watching the birth of cinema, where you only could show one image because the audience wasn't capable of connecting dots. And then, like, where those characters die if they leave the screen? No, they're still alive. You know,
We don't have object permanence anymore in the realm of cinema.
That is it.
Jesus Christ.
There is, you know, and to me, like, watching it again too is like, it's tricky because I am definitely one to rail on Entourage and, you know, find faults in Entourage. And this is less like Entourage, I would argue, is this. It's super dumb and the plots are lame and there's no learning and there's never any arc and et cetera, et cetera. But and again, going back to this idea, there is some joy to it. It seems like they're having fun, or it seems like the people who are writing it are having fun. Here, it just seems like
labored.
I don't know. Yeah, I just don't know what happened to them. What happened happened between number 1 and number 2 that created this anger?
Well, I mean, we've heard some varying theories, and I think you're right. That cynicism really permeates the whole film, and it just smells like the whole thing is money. There's no love.
It doesn't. Yeah, watching them act, it doesn't look like they're having fun on set.
And we had heard that as well. We'd heard that the women had kind of fallen out with each other because a sort of riff had opened up.
I think it was about SJP
She got a lot of money.
as an EP, and then also the amount of screen time. But this is all, I mean, you know, hearsay. We don't know
but
this
she
for
always
sure.
she always had more screen time. She's the lead of the show.
Yeah.
Well,
Then
maybe there's a feeling that they were doing her a favor. Like, we're all going to trot out this dead horse. You know, we're going to tow it around the yard one last time so we can all cash a check. And maybe it was a bridge too far, and they were like, we are going to do this, but by God, we're going to do it begrudgingly.
You got to drag us in. It's like, you know, there's something. The one thing that no one wants to watch is people like the conceit. Like, if you don't want to do it, just don't do it. But the worst thing to watch is people being forced entertained. It's like watching like a sad elephant at a circus. You're like, he doesn't want to be there. Or that's the way I feel about those dumb dogs. Like, we go, oh yeah, this is like, who's that dumb dog who, like, every time they used to have all these pictures of them, I don't know. He's like, they travel him around the world. It's like, that dog doesn't want to be in that outfit. And he doesn't know why he's cute. He's got a weird overbite, and you're just cashing in on the fact that you own this thing. Who, if he could articulate anything, would want to kill himself.
On that,
like, I wish if the movie ended with all of them taking out shotguns and blowing off their heads, I would at least feel like it ended in a way that was honest to the film.
God.
Just like, and it was with all the detail that they took getting the whiskey glass. They go into the closet, they undo the safe, they take out a gun.
But then it's being lent to grit. Like, that would actually make more sense from a film language point of view, because you're adding gravity to a moment that needs it. But she's just trying to anyway.
They're bound to stumble into it. I'd also just quickly, before I say my shining light.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, that's fine. But like, you know how there's so many visual cues to tell the story. Like, there's just no faith put in the audience.
Yeah.
And then I know it's a trope from the television program, but then they go even further when it's like, oh, I don't know that, like, we didn't get 10 minutes of visual coverage of this scene change. We'd better get Carrie to just to add no exposition and just describe exactly what's happening in the voiceover.
Yeah, it's
like listening to someone read like a Tiffany's catalog or something.
I'm pretty sure that was the brief. From what I understand, MKP in his basement when he was banging out the script for this goddamn carcass was saying, it reads like a Tiffany's catalog, and I need you all to honour that.
Now I have a question. Oh wait, sorry, I keep on forgetting to listen to your.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
shining
It's
moment.
much more fun to talk about things we didn't enjoy. But my shining light, and by God, I'm clutching at straws. You will have seen the cupcake scene, Paul. You know when
Yes.
Charlotte is baking some countable number of cupcakes for the after-school party. And she's like, I mean, just across the board, things aren't going well. And she is, her daughter, I think it's Lily, is she's doing painting with red paint, or it looks like it could be icing, but I think it's paint. And she's going, Mommy, look what I did, look at me, or whatever. And then she walks up to Charlotte and she bangs her hands on her butt and leaves 2 perfect red handprints on the vintage cream Valentino skirt. Did you see that?
Of course I saw it, and I love this whole moment. I want to know what part in particular it was your shining light.
Well,
though.
the part that was my shining light was, but several frames later, when Charlotte goes to shut herself in the pantry on account of being overwhelmed emotionally, the handprints, by some mystery, I am left to assume, have moved. They are no longer as close to one another as they were previously. They're further out on respective cheeks. It is a continuity error of the highest order.
That is, because they had limited time with those kids. They probably shot the pantry scene first, and then they or they immediately shipped the first one off to Planet Hollywood to be displayed on some sort of wall. That is amazing. By the way, continuity mistakes, I imagine there are a lot. I know that it's a bad movie when I start watching the extras, and I will really start to hone in on a group scene and just watch people in behind. So when you're picking up continuity, all hope is lost. Whenever I do anything, people are like, "Hey, you had that in you did this," and I was like, if anyone notices that or gives a shit, we've already failed. We have failed on the highest level, because no one until years later saw that one stormtrooper hit his head in Star Wars, until we could watch it a million times. And then because you're like, oh, I guess now I'm watching it for whatever. It's like, when it's good, you don't notice continuity.
Yeah. See, Guy and I had a big debate about this yesterday, because I don't even rate that as a continuity error. So the hand position changed a bit.
I guess you're right.
Really.
Tim's attitude was, it's taken you 40 watches to see this, therefore it does not warrant judgment as a
it's got to be big to be a continuity error.
That's like a very minute person has access to that as a continuity error, which I still think that in the sentence the words continuity error there, therefore what I found is an embarrassing gaffe that should be uploaded to IMDb immediately.
Doesn't qualify as a shining light, because this is supposed to be a brief respite from us hating on the film.
Yeah, and the brief respite was, I caught you out, you dastardly villains.
Bloody hell, Guy.
Look, I don't know. Well, it's tough going, Paul. At this point, I'm almost turning to you like a therapist now. When the movie comes on, there is genuinely a force field between the action and the audio, and I speak for, I think, both of us, our ability to engage with it. It's just like, you've got your favorite movies, and it's kind of like a warm blanket, like Star Wars, like you're saying. You know everything about it, and you can put it on. It can be on in the background, and it's just comforting, and you know the beats, and you can probably shut your eyes and still visualize what's happening. Such as your level of fondness and familiarity with the movie.
Yeah.
This is like...
Actually, I just want to bring this up because I heard it on How Did This Get Made recently. Paul, I thought it was so endearing that you used to tape movies and listen as a kid to just the audio of films, like when you're on the school bus and stuff. That is adorable.
It was the best.
That is adorable.
It just made me think.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right. But I mean, the thing is...
By the way, you would be surprised. I got, because they were like, you recorded your movies and listened to them? I was like, yeah, Running Scared, Billy Crystal, Gregory Hines, listening to it all the time. And they're like, and my friends... Or not my friends, people would tweet at me, I did the same thing. So I feel like I'm not alone.
You're vindicated.
No, you're not.
Yes.
You're not at all. I just like the notion of how much trouble in the era you would have had to go to enable that experience.
Oh yeah.
What was the technical setup? What do you record the film?
On a VHS,
I just put a tape recorder in front of the TV. That was it. I was a young kid.
So it's just like grainy audio of the film.
Yeah, exactly. When I heard it pop, I would listen back to where it kind of last ended.
Yeah.
rewind the movie and then flip the tape and put it in the other side.
And there was a little bit of atmos, the share household. You'd have the goings
Oh,
on.
I would do it and then leave my room so I wouldn't kind of tamper with it. I'd have to like send myself away.
Sit outside with a glass against the door, waiting to hear the cassette player pop.
Literally, it was sad. I mean, it was very sad. But that's exactly what I did.
We wouldn't be having this conversation if not for your dedication to film. But yeah, what I was going to say is, so there's that familiarity, that comfort blanket in essence, and then this is, it's like this twisted version of the same thing where it's like all this stuff that we know so well, and it's the relationship's toxic, the blanket's got fleas. Actually, funnily enough, this recording studio that we're in also has fleas.
I just had to flea bomb it.
We flea bomb.
Oh gosh!
Got some couches off New Zealand's version of eBay, Paul, and it didn't end well for me. I thought I was getting a great deal.
Yeah, you can get big couch and 2 lazy boys for 100 New Zealand dollars, so long as you're okay with them having fleas. But yeah, I mean, I can't even remember the thrust
But look,
of the point.
are you saying that normally with any other film you'd have that security blanket aspect at this point, but you don't even have that
Yeah,
because
I
it's
think-
so impenetrable?
I was using Paul as a proxy for a psychiatrist and saying that there is that, there's the feeling of this should be like a warm embrace, and it's not a good feeling.
Well, to me, everything about this movie. You know what? I keep. I'm here in LA on a microphone, and I keep on leaning back in my chair to talk into the microphone, knowing that I'm getting further away from you guys. I think that to mess this up is harder than to do it right, because you've already done it successfully in a series and in a movie. So what, and I think, I don't know. You're right. Like, this should be everything you described. It should just be a warm blanket. It should be nonsense, and in a good way. Like, these characters just having a fun little adventure. But I don't know if it's the fact that they've kind of aged out the characters in a certain degree. It's like they're no longer the issues that they're getting into are no longer fun. And they're about marriage and the pain of kids. And the only one that's kind of fun is Samantha. But Samantha's an island to herself a little bit.
Hey, Paul, we haven't seen the
yeah.
first movie, so just real quick. I heard that she gets cancer and then is nursed back to health by Smith Garrett.
That's... yes. Yeah, that is like a D plot that kind of just quickly happened.
What?
Yes.
That's a deep plot.
Yeah.
She gets
Oh
cancer.
yeah, it's not a main thrust of the film.
Wow.
No, not in my memory of it. It's there, and it's like, I have cancer. But by the way, that's a topic that I think honestly, maybe I'm having a fonder recollection of it. They handled well, and it was interesting. And it was like, how do these girls? It's about their friendship and how do they get over it. And then there's also a whole bunch of other bullshit. But
And listen, we want to remind everyone that the series did important shit. It was on at a time when there weren't 4 leading ladies on a TV show anywhere. It stormed a path, and that's kind of what makes this all the more bitter.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's like they were successful at this for many a year, and I feel like they couldn't grow into this other thing, or the exotic locales knocked them out. I don't know, because here's the question that I really want to ask you two, because I think you've watched it enough, and this is something that really came to me on this.
I think we've watched
this
it enough
episode.
too, Paul.
All right. The idea of, are these men in their lives at all appealing? Now, I'm going to give you, while you think about that, I'm going to probably put something else forward. The one argument you could make, if this was a male film, all right, so let's take Entourage as the yin to this yang, right? So if in Entourage, your argument you can make is the male characters are underwritten, the female characters are underwritten, and they just serve as sexual objects or whatever. But I think from a point of view as being a guy, and you watch it, you're like, oh, that girl's cute, I like that. When I watch this movie and I see these men, and I'm thinking of myself as a woman, or even as a gay man, I'm like, I don't want to be with any of these dudes. And Aiden is being viewed as this guy who's like, oh, Aiden, the adventurer. Is like, this guy looks like a boring guy. Like I don't even know. He's and Mr. Big is like a fucking asshole. Everyone's an asshole. I'm like, what? These women, I want more for them than these men. I don't like these men.
You're right that there is no respite, and that everyone in the movie who gets enough screen time is revealed to be an asshole. Steve, I love.
I love Steve.
Steve is a good. I love Steve. I just love him. I love him. We've got some theories about Steve. We won't go into them.
The dual-sided, the two-sided coin for us doing this particular nature of this project is that the underwritten nature of the male characters in this film allow us to project many ideas onto them, vis-a-vis Steve being the father of Brady the Rat King and running for the city of...
running for mayor
of the city of New York, launching his own self-styled
spelling
dictionary books, etc. But anyway, you're right. Like, no one's very desirable in the male on the male front. And actually, the only character who I have any warmth for whatsoever is Charlotte's little girl, Lily. Like, she's the only one who shows genuine compassion. Even the nanny, I'm not crazy about, and she should be likable.
I was gonna just say, what about the nanny?
It's hard to like the nanny just because of how poorly, it's barely the nanny essentially, I feel like, was a gift that Michael Patrick King put into the movie for the.
That was, as Andy Daly would say, that was something for Daddy.
Yeah, for the Paul Scheers at the cinema who are trudging to Sex and the City 2 for the second time. It's like, well, at least I'll get to see some ample bosoms in the film.
At least I get to see some boobs.
It's like
after seeing the Australian rugby team, get down to their skivvies, and go swimming.
They try and tease it out like the nanny is a storyline or a subplot, but I mean, you can tell at the end it's like, and Charlotte didn't have to worry about her committed husband cheating with the professional nanny that they had, because guess what? The nanny was a lesbian the whole time.
It's not that I can trust my husband; it's that she was gay.
Yeah,
and just wrap it up literally in a voiceover ending. It's criminal storytelling.
Have you talked? And again, I apologize to bring up things that you guys probably have already explored.
It's hard not to.
But
don't you dare apologize.
What about the dick shots? The close-ups on the Speedo shorts, where we're just looking at dick.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that at length because I think that is serving the purpose. It's like, this is a film that, it's there for June and her friends to go, and you know what? If we go to Entourage, we're going to see some titties. I would argue that, I think that there's a misnomer that, women want to see dudes' packages. I don't know. I don't know who that.
It's not.
I don't know.
It's not really for us to say, but I haven't ever noticed the dick shots, and I've seen them, but I've never thought twice about them. I've been like, that's a pretty good piece. I find the one of.
We should ask our girlfriends about this. See if they like the dick shot.
I find the ones of Dickbot or Ricard Spurt,
Danish
as the mortals call him. When he's got his semi, he's sort of has got a boner at right angles to his body when he's out for a meal with Samantha.
Yeah.
I find that a bit much. I just find their sexual forwardness in that scene when they're filleting, they're taking turns to fillet a shisha pipe. It's
beyond the pale. That is disgusting. That's stomach churning. That scene. Don't like it at all.
I mean, what did you make of that? Did you find it sexy? Were you watching them being like, look at these sexy people who are about to have a sexy time, or were you like, you guys need to tone it the fuck down?
Yeah, tone it down. Leave some, I guess everything that I know of a woman. Well, that's a really bold statement. I guess my thought of it is, I think that women like not that. Lead it up to a point and then let it go away. Where I think the dudes would want to be like, yeah, let me see it all in there. I don't know. I'm tone it down.
Your sense is that women want a little mystery.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Or just. You don't have to fill in the blanks. You can just kind of I don't know, set the table, but you don't have to feed me the dinner.
I've always had a approach to this, which is probably why I'm not a diehard pornography fan. It's like a horror movie, right? It's less scary if you see the monster. It's you can always hint at something being sexier than actually showing the thing, because everyone will project their maximum sexy idea onto whatever canvas is still there.
Right.
You're old school. I mean, you have sex underneath a sheet, don't you? And you just cut out holes for the genitalia. I mean,
yes, I do. I took a lot of cues from certain Jewish sex. Yeah.
You're a real throwback.
Oh yeah. Hey Paul, I don't know how much time we've got left with you, because you're a busy man. You got a lot of projects on the go. But if you've got a couple minutes left, I would love to do something with you that we do with all of our guests. and that is the pitch, wherein you've just seen the film, and for the third time, we've just found out.
Yeah.
Now, Guy and I are we're actually movie execs.
We're powerful Hollywood execs, and look, we got cash coming out our assholes, and we don't quite know what to do with it. We're looking for a project, pretty much to greenlight today.
Yeah, so we've been briefed that you have come in here with an idea for Sex and the City 2. You're going to convince us why we should fund this puppy, Mr. Scheer. You're on the clock, baby. Your time starts now.
Oh, wait. I just want to ask one quick question before I start.
This is very unprofessional of you, Mr. Scheer,
I'm
but
so
we'll allow
sorry.
it.
I'm so sorry. All right, so Sex and the City 1 has come out. This has not come out at this point.
Correct.
All right. That's all I needed to know.
You got it.
I mean, you should know that as the person pitching this movie to us, but we'll overlook this small oversight on your
You know
end.
what? We're kind of a good cop, bad cop operation. Can I get you a water, by the way, Mr. Scheer?
Yeah, yeah. Please, yes. Oh, did you have sparkling would be preferable.
Yeah, sure thing.
Thank
I'll
you.
go get it.
All right, guys, here's the thing. Sex and the City 1 was a huge hit. Obviously, we took everything that we loved from the show and we turned it into a movie that felt bigger and more exciting. And with the growth of these characters, we want to continue the franchise. And this is how I see it. Why not take them out of New York, right? But let's not put them in Los Angeles. Let's not put them in Miami. Let's put them in outer space. Hear me out. Virgin Atlantic or Virgin Galactic is launching, right?
Right.
Everyone
Yeah,
knows
we all know that,
that's
yeah.
on the horizon, right? It is going up. They're on it the first flight because Samantha has gotten some sort of it's some publicity thing. She's in PR. She brings her friends. Why don't we all have them?
Believable. Yes.
A Cosmo in space. They're all going to have a Cosmo in space. Now, here's what happens. Unfortunately, they didn't know this about the space shuttle. There is some sort of bacteria on the space shuttle that when it leaves the Earth's atmosphere, it mutates. It becomes something bigger, something scarier, and it creates an alien life force. And what we're talking about is a Sex and the City meets Alien, not Aliens, movie. Samantha, Carrie, the other one, Miranda, they're all together trying to defeat this monster on a ship who is everyone is slowly getting killed. Of course, Steve gets killed, right? He's the first
Not
one done.
Steve. We love Steve.
We love Steve.
I know, but that's why it gives the movie a drive. You got to kill the only character that you really care about because that's going to give you a reason to really hate this alien. I'm sorry, guys. Steve is great, but he's going to be the emotional anchor of the film. And then the movie ends with Carrie fully decked out, gun in hand, shotgun, smeared face, right? She finally kills the alien, and she says, something like, "Don't touch my Prada, you bitch."
Yeah.
And then the gun, we see her bring it to her own mouth. We think she's going to shoot herself. She doesn't. It's lipstick. She's put a lipstick holder in where the laser pointer is, and she puts lipstick on her mouth. She goes, "Girls, let's go back home to New York."
I gotta say, right out of the gates, I really like the pitch. I think it's strong. For mine, and this is just but a minor reservation that I have, it feels like a different movie.
Right. Of course. Yeah, no, and I think, yeah.
Like,
right,
I mean,
right.
we all love aliens, we love bacteria, we love guns,
We love Ridley Scott.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, but I like taking them out of their comfort zone and putting them on a rocket or a ship or something.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Could we maybe transplant them somewhere less sci-fi? Is that in your wheelhouse?
Oh, yeah. What if we just put them in Abu Dhabi and have them go shopping and learn about, Middle East?
Done. Did you hear that? That was the sound of a briefcase full of money opening, Mr. Scheer. My people will get in touch with your people. I like how open you were to that rewrite. You agreed instantly.
100%. Because here's something that I've been thinking about, and I don't know if, and this is something I really want to bring to people's mind. As a writer, it's about, uncovering things. And did you know, and this is, I don't even want to get into politics here, but, in the Middle East, women are treated very differently.
No, I hadn't heard that. Different how?
Yeah. Well,
they
in
worship?
a lot of ways. In a lot of ways that is pretty, it make you angry. It can make you angry. And I feel like, these girls, if we unleash that spirit over there, maybe we can start like some sort of revolution. Like, you
Yeah.
know, like I just think it's like, I want to get the word out that the Middle East treats women a little bit differently, because I feel like that's, if the show is nothing, it's a societal mirror that we hold up and we look at ourselves in it and we go, do we like what we see? I mean, they're the Michael Jackson of their time. They're looking at the man in the mirror and do they like what they see? And that's all we know.
I like this. Do you know what I like the most? Is I don't
What?
necessarily know that it's our place as a sequel movie to say, but we're going to say it anyway. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, I like that you've gotten a franchise and made it about something that it was never about. That's what really is appealing
Yes.
to me. Cultural,
Well, you know, to me,
international relations.
To me, it's like that's what we need to do. We just need to, like, you know, why give the audience what they want when you can give them
That's
something that they don't. You know, it's like if you order ice cream at the table and we just bring you butter in the shape of ice cream, not until it touches your mouth will you know, and it will be so much more disturbing because of that.
Do you know, I really thought, Mr. Scheer, that you were going to go more towards the old, well-known Henry Ford quote, which is if you asked the people what they wanted, they would have all said horses. But that's why you're a writer. You paint metaphor and simile in a
If you
beautiful
can
and unexpected way.
Somehow get that butter ice cream gag into the film, I personally will send you $10 million in unmarked bills.
I am going to get on it right away.
Well, this has been excellent. This has been wonderful. Paul, I don't think it's a very big portion of the Venn diagram of people who listen to our show that don't listen to How Did This Get Made. But what else have you got going on? FX's The League is just kind of wrapping up now?
The League is wrapping up. We have a couple more episodes there, and then I guess what else?
You're on the bus. You're on a bus, Paul.
Oh yes. Oh, that's actually good. Yeah, I'm on my friend Rob Hubel and I, we did Human Giant together with Aziz Ansari. We do this show in in LA called Crash Test. We've been doing it for about 10 years, and it's a crazy kind of fun interactive show. And we got on a glass bus and drove around LA and did an improvised comedy special, and it's available everywhere around the world because it's on Vimeo.
Awesome.
So Vimeo allows you to get it wherever you are, and if you have iTunes, it's on iTunes, but I don't know internationally where it is. But internationally, it's available on Vimeo, which is great.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and it's got Aziz Ansari and Rob Corddry and Aubrey Plaza and Earl Sweatshirt from Odd Future, and Tom Lennon and Ben Garant reprise their Reno 911 characters. So it's a real fun. Like, to me, I don't do stand up, but I do a lot of these shows at UCB, which is the Upright Citizens Brigade, and we call them like a fuck around show, and it was a real fun way to kind of do that in a professional way. So I think you might like it.
Absolutely. I have seen it. I can highly recommend everybody gets involved. And if people want to find you online, Paul, how may they go about that?
Just at Paul Scheer. I'm pretty much at Paul Scheer all the time.
That's so easy.
But wait, spell Scheer for people, because there's a myriad ways you can fuck that up.
SCHEER.
There we go. You just got 3 followers, buddy. 3 brand new shiny followers.
Yes.
That's right. You treat them right, Paul, all right?
Yeah, I will. Well, I wish I could say thank you, but I can't. This movie is garbage. But I feel like, hopefully we got to talk about some things that were a little bit different. And before I leave, can I just bring up the one thing that I thought was interesting that I want to see? One more thought.
Please.
I just want to... when Miranda's kid is winning a prize at one point, the thing that the teacher says is, "And winner for first place for the mouse maze." What was he doing? Because he's just holding up a small box that looks like not a maze and not anything where you could put a maze in it. And that again, it speaks to the laziness.
Well, you have truly wandered into the wasp's nest with this one. So that is a question that we asked ourselves a few weeks ago now, a couple months ago. And there is now a rich vein running through our podcast of Brady is the kid's name, of exactly what he's up to.
So more or less, and we'll try and give you the cliff notes here because, we appreciate times of the essence. Brady, because we thought it's insane that First, someone who had an experimental hypothesis, what is static electricity, got second place, while Brady, who just put a fucking mouse in a cardboard box, wins.
Exactly.
Well, I'll tell you what's happened here is Brady has learnt how to develop the brains of vermin, specifically rats, and moreover harness the intellectual power of said species.
And kind of use them as a society as well.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
And pretty much the teacher is trying to appease Brady and sort of halt his
research into this area.
Halt his research in the area, and also what winds up being a pretty serious reign of terror by backpatting him and saying, hey, look, you figured out how powerful the rats are, but for God's sake, use this information wisely.
So shortly after the events of Sex and the City 2, Brady actually descends into the sewers and starts training the first rats, which then train all of the other rats, and he's very quickly commanding an army of rats under New
He's
York
also
City.
developed a hybrid breed called an amphibirat, which are rats that can breathe underwater. The kid is, I mean, there's no stopping him. There is but one hope.
We almost got it out of this episode with Paul Scheer thinking we were sane. We were so close.
No, by the way, I'm all in. I'm in for this spin-off. I'm in for this Netflix spin-off series of a side character in a major way.
Sex and the City 3, as far as we know, is going to be the battle of Brady the Rat King against Dickbot,
Which
who
is a whole other story.
Ricard Spurt, who is just quickly once more a Japanese programmed cyborg who is solar powered and roams the Arabian desert, learning how to interface with humans so that he can eventually take over America. And they're going to battle it out for
Supremacy.
I mean, and it's just
Look, it sounds crazy when you kind of lay it out.
I'm by the way, I'm so in, and I feel like this is where the franchise needs to go.
well, of course you are, Mr. Scheer. You are he who pitched the gals going to outer space.
And if there's anything, if you guys ever find out why Bette Midler was on set but cut out of the movie, I would love to know.
I didn't even know that, so that is something to look forward to digging into.
Yes, the people have said that she was on set and she supposedly was filming, but she never is in the movie. We need to know what the deleted scene is.
We will take that on board. Paul, I want to say thank you again because, seriously, no one was... Well, our friends were the only people who were listening to the show before you gave it a shout-out on your podcast. And now,
oh my gosh,
now we've had
it's so funny. I love it.
2 trips to the States off the back of it, so we couldn't be happier.
We owe you one.
We owe you 2.
Oh, that's so good. Well, you guys were the best. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Paul. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
The great Paul Scheer. Wasn't he fantastic? I love that guy. Thanks again to Carmicola for bringing us this episode, and I forgot to mention at the time, but this is critically important. The new podcast that Guy and I are doing with my brother and me, the brothers McElroy, Travis, Griffin, Justin. We've all gotten together and we've decided that once a year on American Thanksgiving, we will be watching Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 from now until the end of linear time. We will give you our thoughts on that. Kevin James, well, I don't want to spoil it by putting adjectives in here, so for now, let's call it a movie. We're going to be watching Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. The episode is coming out shortly, like in a matter of hours, so it's in time for Thanksgiving. It's probably out right now. If you listen to this, it's probably already out. Seek it out. Subscribe, I guess. There's going to be one episode a year. See how that goes. It's called Till Death Do Us Blart. The hashtag is DeathBlart. Find us on Twitter there as well. And I look forward to this exciting adventure from now until my death. It's an interesting experiment we're doing with podcasting here. This is pretty loose. This is once a year, so it's not that big a commitment. Join us, folks. Till Death Do Us Blart out this American Thanksgiving 2015.
It's the worst idea of all time. It's the worst idea of all time. It's the worst idea of all time.